Good morning, children. Welcome to English class. Children, in our last session, we have discussed adverbs as well as meanings of lesson 7. In today's session, children, we will discuss question and answers. All of you, open your classwork, children. Write date and write down. Third bit, answer these questions. Third bit, answer these questions. First question, children. Why did Mrs. Rabbit leave her children alone one day? So why did Mrs. Rabbit leave her children alone one day, children? As Mrs. Rabbit want to go to baker shop, so she left her children alone one day. So write the answer. Mrs. Rabbit left her children alone to go to the baker's shop one day. So the answer is Mrs. Rabbit left her children alone to go to the baker's shop one day. Next, second question. Why did Peter disobey her? So, Mother Rabbit said to the children Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail and Peter Rabbit to go down to the lane or to the fields, but don't go to Mr. McGregor's garden. Whereas Peter, Flopsy, Mopsy and Cottontail went down to the lane, but Peter Rabbit went to Mr. McGregor's garden because the three rabbits, the three bunnies are very obedient, whereas Peter was very naughty. So write the answer. Peter disobeyed her because he was very naughty. So the answer is Peter Rabbit. Answer is Peter disobeyed her because he was very naughty. Next, third question. Why did Mr. McGregor chase Peter. Chase Peter. So the question is, why did Mr. McGregor chase Peter? So Mr. McGregor chased Peter as Peter was eating all the vegetables. He is trying to steal the vegetable. So Mr. McGregor chased Peter. Write the answer. Mr. McGregor chased Peter because Peter was stealing vegetables from his garden. Vegetables from his garden. So here the answer is Mr. McGregor chased Peter because Peter was stealing vegetables from his garden. Next, fourth question, children. Which items did Peter lose in the garden? So the question is, which items did Peter lose in the garden? So as Mr. McGregor was chasing Peter, Peter lost his shoes and jacket in the garden. So write the answer. Peter lost his shoes and his jacket in the garden. So the answer is Peter lost his shoes and his jacket in the garden. Next, fifth question. How did Peter escape from Mr. McGregor's garden in the end? How did Peter escape from Mr. McGregor's garden in the end? So the answer is Peter saw the gate. Peter saw the gate behind where Mr. McGregor was working. He ran as fast as he could along a straight walk behind some blackcurrant bushes. Slipped outside the gate and was finally safe in the woods. That is in the forest. So here the answer is, Peter saw the gate behind where Mr. McGregor was working. He ran as fast as he could along a straight walk behind some blackcurrant bushes, slipped outside the gate, and was finally safe in the woods. Okay, children? Now with this, we'll close today's session. Now coming to today's your homework, learn and write lesson 7, the tale of Peter Rabbit, question and answers in your classwork. Okay, children? Okay, that's it for today. See you in the next session. Bye, children.